Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know, really wanna know.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Well, we're halfway there. More than halfway there, actually. Just a couple days. 3 days till the new year. So, how's it going? Are you enjoying the process? I know not a whole lot of you are participating in it, but I'm hoping more and more will. Look back, at least in the new year, and focus on some of the changes. I said yesterday I would share a little bit about my story of EMDR. I hope you had a chance to watch some of the videos on EMDR. If not, go back to yesterday's video and check them out. I think you'll find the EMDR incredibly useful, as well as the EFT, the Emotional Freedom Technique, the tapping, which I find incredibly useful. So, as I've said before in other videos, I have told the story of my van accident. Before I do that, I'll just say, if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm glad to have you. I'm going to give a trigger warning for anyone that has any kind of trauma around automobile accidents. This may or may not be a good video for you to watch. That there is hope. So if you think you can sit through it, do yourself a favor and have a glass of water and hydrate. Something really good to smell, like some hand lotion, maybe some essential oils, and practice some really good self-care techniques. If it's not something you think you can handle, please don't watch it. Come back at a later time after you've found some ways to take care of yourself. But I'm not going to go into any gory details. Basically, what I'm going to tell you is that I was the driver in a 15-passenger van accident where the left rear tire blew. The vehicle flipped 1.5 times in the middle of a highway. Everybody survived except for one of my passengers. Most of us had anywhere from pretty I hate the term moderate, but they were life-changing injuries, not to mention the psychological effects, to pretty severe injuries afterwards. And at the time of that accident, based on any research I did, I was the only driver that had ever survived a 15-passenger van accident. So I suffered, well, there was a couple things that happened. I also had to wait 3 months during the investigation to find out if I would be charged with involuntary manslaughter. So not only was I suffering from physical injuries, a lot of PTSD, a lot of the people, of course, who loved the woman who passed, blamed me personally for her death. I was treated like a pariah for that. And a lot of people, there was just a lot of things going on. And I think I blamed me in a lot of ways, even though I knew intellectually that I had no blame. And I will tell you about a spiritual experience I had during that accident. Everything slowed down in the moment that tire, there were 2 explosions, the first one and then the second one, I don't know how to explain. But I don't have a lot to say good about my birth father, except that my birth father was 30 years a teamster, a truck driver with an incredible safety record, and he taught me how to drive. And I literally, when I drove, could drive anything with an engine and wheels. And I was a very good driver with an excellent driving record, and I'm really grateful to my birth father for that. And when the tire blew, everything went to slow motion, and I heard either my guides or an angel, literally heard the voice of one of them say, "Take your foot off the brake and turn into the spin." And that's exactly what I did. And the moment I knew that the van was going to flip, I don't remember this, but according to my passengers, I told everyone to hold on, we were going to flip. I knew we were going to flip, and had I not done that, the injuries would have been exponentially worse. So, do I believe 100% that our angels and guides are there to protect us? I do, 100%. One, because I hear them every day, but two, in my deepest hour of need, when I had the responsibility for 15 other lives, I heard them so loud and clear, giving me clear instructions on how to take care of those other lives. So, as you can maybe imagine, I was pretty messed up after that accident. I had a lot of survivor's guilt. Why did I survive and my passenger didn't? Why did I survive when I shouldn't have? I felt incredibly responsible for that precious cargo of those 15 other people that were now, their lives were changed irrevocably, as well as my own, but mine didn't feel quite as important. And that goes back to that inner child healing. I have never felt as important as anyone else. And so I've had a lot of work to do around that. So cue the trauma. And then I had these incredible triggers that I was living with, aside from reliving that accident in my head every time I closed my eyes. I saw my passenger who died laying dead in the road. I saw all the blood in the glass. I would have flashbacks of the vehicle rolling. I had all of that kind of stuff happening. I couldn't drive past an accident scene without utter panic, which is hard when you're traveling or you're anywhere on the road because accidents happen. So it didn't matter if it was like a slight fender bender or if it was a massive accident. The sound of a car hitting another or glass breaking triggered me. Like I said, I lived a couple blocks from a hospital, so the sound of any kind of siren or ambulances threw me into absolute abject panic. And definitely seeing a white 15-passenger van threw me into abject panic. So I knew that that was no kind of life, because what did that leave me? It left me with the option of just like never leaving my home. And I didn't have the luxury of that. I was in a great deal of pain all the time, but I still had to work because I didn't have my disability at that point, and I needed to live, and I needed to work at least part-time, something, while I figured out what I was going to do. And I didn't realize that I had to not work for a year in order to get disability. And so even though I was technically unable to work, I still had to have some kind of income. So it wasn't until I saw my trauma therapist and she said, you cannot work. Like, you are not even in the realm of being able to work. And then I saw an orthopedist and stuff who said, absolutely not. If you do repetitive motions with your arms, you could end up paralyzed. So, and that's not part of the subject, but I'm just telling you the story. Anyways, so I started seeing this really wonderful trauma therapist who recommended I find a therapist who did EMDR. She didn't do EMDR. So I did find an EMDR therapist who did EMDR and started working with him. And I had a wonderful experience of that. And after a few sessions, okay, I'm kind of a nerd. I hate to admit this. I love Star Trek. And so there's in the third version of Star Trek, the first show, there is this scene where the captain he's lost his wife, and he has met this kind of, they have met this force that is kind of like a singularity, and it is reading his mind, and he keeps saying, we're not a violent people, but all they see is him reliving the death of his wife. And they say, but you are, because all they see is him reliving this violent death of his wife. And he's like, but we're not. And he says, but they keep saying, but why do you live there? Why do you live there? And I had been doing this EMDR over and over with, my doctor. So one day I'm driving home from my therapy session, and that kept playing over in my head. And interestingly enough, I suddenly kind of made this connection between my accident and that scene, and realized I didn't have to live there anymore. So that was kind of maybe my neural pathways, like creating new neural pathways in my brain. Like, I didn't have to live in that accident anymore. And so I don't know if that'll make sense to anyone, but it was really liberating because, interestingly enough, I never had another nightmare in regard to the accident. I never had another panic attack when I heard a siren. I can look at white vans and not panic. Do they still kind of squick me out? Yeah, because I know what the potential is for every passenger that rides one. But it's not the same thing as a full-blown panic attack every time I see one. And so I don't have those same really intense visceral responses to those triggers anymore. And now when I talk about things, I find myself kind of naturally doing these kind of eye movements when it comes to things that are really sticky or painful. And I think that's really good, that I have learned to kind of naturally soothe in that way around really painful subjects. So I naturally kind of am rewiring my neural pathways. And that's why I recommend EMDR so much, because if it can take someone who lived through the traumatic event I did and had the reaction to the trauma that I did, and what felt so unable to cope with their life because of that trauma, and help me cope so well. I do think that it could help really anyone. And you don't have to be as extreme, have as extreme of trauma for EMDR to work. I think it can help you deal with any kind of trauma that you have experienced, because what it's doing is it's helping you kind of create new neural pathways in your brain and how you're dealing with things. And so what I want to say that is so hopeful about any of these modalities that we do is that just remember, no matter what you've been through in your life, the greatest lesson I've learned about my traumas and my dramas, and even what I experience day to day with my body pain and with the challenges that I've had with the frontal lobe dementia or any of that stuff, is that I don't have to live in that state of this is my reality, this is where I'm going to be stuck. I get to make the choice to believe in something better. And that's just me. I don't think everybody has to, because I think we all have free will, right? But this is one of my coping mechanisms, is that we all get free will, and my choice is to believe I live in a safe universe. I get to make the choice to believe there's hope. I get to make the choice to believe that I can always do something to change my paradigm. And in creating this channel, part of changing my paradigm is having hope that I'm going to affect at least one person and change somebody else's paradigm, who may affect another person and change their paradigm. And somewhere along the way, we're going to have a little bit of a kinder, more thoughtful world and experience. And so that's what part of this series is about. New year, new you, new way of thinking, new way of being. That's what I'm hoping to achieve. And so I wanted to share that with you today. And so I'm not linking anything below today, really, because I just wanted to open up as we were moving into the new year, middle of the week, and you understand what the thought process was behind this. And that's what's in my heart. I love you all deeply. I do believe that all people are divine creations. God doesn't make junk. And we are all equal in the sight of Source. We just come from different tribes, and that's it. And we have different cultures and different belief systems, and there is no right or wrong in that. And we are all worthy of love and respect, and let's spread kindness and spread that around everywhere, because my God, there's enough of the other everywhere. And I hope that in this new year, the paradigm shifts and it becomes a year of compassion and a year of kindness, because the other option isn't working. So that's what I have to say. I love you all dearly, dearly. And I am hoping that you're along for the ride with me, and that you're on this journey with me, and that you're doing your thing your way, what's serving you. And I hope you'll give me some feedback and let me know if you have tried any of my ways and any of the things that I've talked about, and if it's helping you at all. I would love the feedback. And remember, if you're a subscriber, please email me for a link to the Discord, and it's a good way for us to talk in private. If you're shy to leave comments, you can always contact me on Discord through private message, or you can always just email me, and we can email back and forth and have conversations, whatever works best for you. But let's talk. Let's do that. So I love you dearly. We'll talk tomorrow. You have a wonderful, wonderful day. Just go out, spread a little kindness. There's just not enough of it in this world, and it doesn't cost us anything. So I love you dearly. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.